The British Empire, a force that once dominated a quarter of the globe, ruled over 400 million people, and influenced every corner of the world. But how did a small island nation, with limited resources, rise to become one of the greatest empires in history? Was it sheer military might? Strategic brilliance? Or was it simply the result of being in the right place at the right time? In this video, we'll take a journey through time, uncovering the factors that contributed to the rise of the British Empire. From the age of exploration to the Industrial Revolution, we'll see how a series of key moments and events shaped the empire that once boasted, "The sun never sets on the British Empire." To understand the rise of the British Empire, we first have to go back to the medieval period. During this time, England wasn't yet a dominant force on the European stage. It was a land of monarchs, nobles, and wars. The Norman conquest in 1066, led by William the Conqueror, marked a turning point in English history. With it came feudalism, new governance systems, and military advancements, all of which would later support the empire's growth. But it wasn't until the late 15th century that England began to look beyond its borders. The marriage of Henry VII's son, Arthur, to the Spanish princess, Catherine of Aragon, reflected England's ambitions to align itself with powerful European kingdoms. Although the marriage ended tragically, it set the stage for what would come next. England's emergence as a maritime power. The Age of Exploration was the spark that ignited the rise of the British Empire. Inspired by the success of the Portuguese and Spanish in discovering new trade routes, England sought its own riches across the seas. In 1497, John Cabot, under the commission of Henry VII, sailed westward and reached the coast of North America. While his discovery didn't lead to immediate wealth, it planted the seeds of England's colonial ambitions. Over the next century, explorers like Sir Francis Drake and Sir Walter Raleigh ventured into unknown territories, claiming lands in the name of the crown. But these expeditions weren't just about territorial gain. They were also about weakening rival powers like Spain and establishing lucrative trade routes. The defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588, under Queen Elizabeth I, was a monumental victory for England, solidifying its naval dominance and opening the doors for further expansion. By the early 17th century, England had established its first successful colonies in North America. Jamestown, founded in 1607, was the beginning of a new era of British colonization. Over the next century, England's empire expanded across the Atlantic, with settlements spreading from the American East Coast to the Caribbean. The Caribbean, in particular, became a critical part of the British Empire. Sugar plantations fueled the British economy, and the slave trade became a dark but integral part of this system. The triangular trade, connecting Europe, Africa, and the Americas, brought immense wealth to British merchants, but at a horrific human cost. But as profitable as the American colonies were, they also sowed the seeds of future conflict. The rigid control exerted by the British Crown over these colonies, combined with heavy taxation, eventually led to the American Revolution in 1776. The loss of the American colonies was a major blow to the empire, but Britain had already set its sights on even bigger prizes. While the sun was setting on Britain's first empire in the Americas, it was rising in the East. The British East India Company, founded in 1600, played a pivotal role in expanding British influence in India. Initially established to control trade, the company gradually gained political and military power, exploiting the weakening Mughal Empire. By the mid-18th century, Britain was effectively ruling large parts of India, with the Battle of Plassey in 1757 marking the beginning of formal British control. India became the jewel in the crown of the British Empire, providing vast resources like spices, cotton, and tea. The wealth generated from India allowed Britain to fuel its growing economy and industrial revolution. However, British rule in India was not without resistance. The Indian Rebellion of 1857 was a significant uprising against British control, leading to the dissolution of the East India Company and the establishment of direct British rule over India, known as the British Raj. The 19th century saw Britain not only expanding its territorial empire, but also leading the world in industrialization. The Industrial Revolution transformed the British economy, with advancements in technology, transportation, and manufacturing. The empire provided raw materials, while British factories produced goods that were sold across the globe. Britain's dominance in global trade allowed it to establish colonies and protectorates in Africa, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific. By the late 19th century, Britain controlled an empire so vast that it covered a quarter of the world's land and population. However, no empire lasts forever. The 20th century brought new challenges to the British Empire. World War I drained Britain's resources, and nationalist movements in India, Africa, and the Middle East began demanding independence. The empire that once seemed invincible was starting to crack. The aftermath of World War II further accelerated the decline of the British Empire. Britain emerged from the war economically weakened, and the decolonization movement gained momentum. In 1947, India, the jewel of the empire, gained independence, marking the beginning of the end for British imperial rule. The British Empire's rise was a complex story of ambition, innovation, and exploitation. While it brought advancements in trade, governance, and technology, it also left behind a legacy of inequality, conflict, and division. Today, the Commonwealth of Nations, a voluntary association of former British colonies, stands as a reminder of the empire's vast reach. But the lessons of the British Empire remain ever relevant. The pursuit of power comes with great responsibility, and the legacy of imperialism continues to shape the world we live in today.